Yeah, so the Arab tribes are getting along. The Jews, the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam has now migrated to Medina Munawwara, and what's happening now is the Jewish people are starting to realize that the influence which we held over the Arabs, we don't hold that influence anymore, right? The Arabs are now independent of us. They don't need us. They have Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam for all of their for all of their matters, for all of their affairs. They have Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They don't need us for any knowledge related matters or any wisdom or guidance. They're going to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They're not coming to us anymore. That was the first issue. So they could feel, a shift in perspective of the Arabs, that they were just not given that same honor and status anymore. Now, if that was the only thing, then they might have been okay with that, right? Because they also controlled, what else did they control in Medina? The finances, the markets were run by them. But now what happened was, and all this time they could do whatever they wanted, because the Aus and Khazraj, the Arabs that lived in Medina, were not very financially savvy. They were not very aware of the markets and business and finance, and trade and commerce basically was not their thing. But now, when Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam migrated to Medina Munawwara, with him, all of the Sahaba who migrated from Mecca, what was their main profession? They were businessmen, right? Those who were migrating from Mecca to Medina, they were businessmen, and they were very, very good businessmen. So once they came to Makkah al-Mukarramah, they went straight to the markets. They didn't go to the orchards to help out the Ansar. They went straight for the markets. They started opening their businesses, opening their shops, and they really knew what they were doing. And not just that, they were very upright, honest. And now, even Arabs prior to Islam, they already had these good qualities in them, which was one of the reasons why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made a prophet emerge from them, because of certain good qualities which they had. But now that they were Muslim, whatever, khiyarukum fil jahiliyyati, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentions khiyarukum fil jahiliyyati khiyarukum fil Islam. The best of you in jahiliyyah, in ignorance, will also be the best of you in Islam. So the beauty of their Islam had now made them like such, not just good businessmen, but honest and trustworthy and reliable, that when they were selling something, they would make sure a person is getting their money's worth. Sometimes they would give you more than what you paid for. But the Jews were doing the opposite. They were used to cheating and deceiving. And all this time, the Aus and Khazraj had not realized, because bichara, they did not know anything about marketplace, and they did not know anything about business. But now they're seeing the dealings of the Muslims, and they are more, convinced that these people are actually more trustworthy people. These people are actually, we're getting our money's worth by trading with them. If we borrow any money from them, we don't need to give a huge amount of interest back. We just give them back what we owed them. So nobody was doing any more financial transactions or trade with the Jews. Everybody was doing it with the Muhajirun, the Sahaba, the Muslims that had migrated from Makkah al-Mukarramah. So the Jews had lost control of the markets as well, of the finances as well. So now they had nothing. Nobody was coming to them for their knowledge or guidance. Nobody was coming to them in terms for business purposes. They were literally, they had literally gone so downhill that they felt all of their resentment that they had in their heart was directed towards Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That is because of this man. That he's the one that made everybody, he took our business away from us, took our position, our superiority, and everything away from us. So now, obviously, naturally, this hatred of the Jews started to come, of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam started to come into the hearts of the Jewish people. Anything you want me to repeat there? On the other side, is everyone following me so far? Okay, I know I don't have the slides. Inshallah, next week I'll put up the slides and it'll just be the same points, but obviously more structured. So on top of that, another blow which happened was when Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam came to Medina Munawwara, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they kind of already knew that this was the last prophet of Allah. They knew it. In the Quran, Allah Ta'ala makes reference to in Surah Al-Baqarah that الَّذِينَ آتَيْنَاهُمُ الْكِتَابَ يَعْرِفُونَهُ كَمَا يَعْرِفُونَ أَبْنَاءَهُم. Those people who we had granted the book to, the Tawrat, يَعْرِفُونَهُ, they recognized Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam the way they would recognize their own children. That's how clearly they had, they understood that this is Allah's last messenger. It's just tough luck that he did not come from our family, from Banu Israel. He's from the Banu Ismail, from the children or progeny of Sayyidina Ismail alayhi salam. But there was one quality that they had not yet seen inside of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. What was that quality? In their books, it was written that the last prophet who is to come, he will be Nabiyul Qiblatayn, the prophet of the two Qiblas. The prophet of the two Qiblas. Now, that was one sign they had not seen in Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam as of yet. Because when Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam migrated to Medina Munawwara, initially Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam was facing Masjid al-Aqsa. That was the Qibla. They were facing Masjid al-Aqsa. So for 1 year, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam continued to face Masjid al-Aqsa. Mentioned about 16 to 17 months, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam continued to face Masjid al-Aqsa. And then on one occasion, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam was leading salah in a masjid which was called the Masjidu Banu Salima. Masjidu Banu Salima. Banu Salima was a tribe which existed, or a community which existed inside of Medina Munawwara. They were on the outskirts of Medina Munawwara, Banu Salima tribe. And what happened was that Banu Salima, just go back a little bit, when Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam migrated to Medina, he built Masjid al-Nabawi. Now obviously the Jews already hate him, they resent him. So now when the masjid is built, now adhan is given 5 times. So when they would hear the adhan, it was like their, daggers would be going into their heart when they would hear the adhan being given. So they just could not tolerate it. Many Jewish people had homes right in front of Masjid al-Nabawi. But they said, we can't stay here anymore. We can't put up with this. We can't deal with this man, this prophet and his message and his people. We can't deal with it. So what they said was, we're leaving these homes. Rather than selling these homes, let's use it as a business opportunity. So what we'll do is we'll let these homes out to other Muslims, because we know the Masjid al-Nabawi is here. This is the center. There's going to be lots of Muslims from different parts of Medina who are going to want to do what? Come as close to Masjid al-Nabawi as they possibly can. Why? So they can be as close to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam as they possibly can. So we'll just, rent out with exorbitant, at very expensive, at very high rates. We will let out these homes to the Muslims. Now, Banu Salima, who lived, boys, pay attention. Banu Salima, who lived far away in the outskirts, when they found out that the Jewish people next to Masjid al-Nabawi are now moving, those homes are now empty, although we're going to have to pay very high level of rents, but we're ready to pay that just so that we can be next to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So they had already kind of made up their mind that we are going to go to those homes and we're going to basically become tenants of the Jews, just so that we have homes close to Masjid al-Nabawi. But they thought, before we make this huge decision, so the entire group of Muslims from Banu Salima actually wanted to totally migrate over there, not migrate, basically move over there so they could be close to Masjid al-Nabawi. They thought, before we do this, let's go to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and let's do mashwara and consult with Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, see what Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam says. Chair's going down, isn't it? This chair is so dodgy. I guess. So let's go and consult with Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, see what Allah's Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam says. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Ya Bani Salima, diyarukum tuktab atharukum. Stay at your houses, stay in your homes, your footprints will be written down. Meaning, the fact that you are walking from such a far distance to come to Masjid al-Nabawi for salah, we know the more steps you take to the masjid, with each step you get 1 reward, in some narrations 10 rewards, 1 sin is wiped away, and 1 status in Jannah is elevated. So Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, stay where you are. That was the first reason, that you'll get more reward. The fact that you have to make effort. They said, Ya Rasulullah, it's not possible for us to come for 5 times salah. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, no problem. We'll establish a masjid for you over there. Come to Masjid al-Nabawi as many times as you can. But if it's difficult, then I'll establish a masjid over there. You'll have an imam over there who leads you in salah, and you can perform majority of your salahs in Masjid al-Nabawi. And whenever you can't make it, you can read your salah in your local masjid. And the second reason was, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam knew that the Jews were all going over there. The Banu Salim are going to come here, the Jews are all going to go over there, they're going to have their own community. And Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam was worried about that, because they were a threat to the Muslims. So he didn't want that to happen. So now Banu Salim have stayed where they are, and the Jews are so angry. They've stayed where they are, they've not rented out those houses, which the Jews were like 100% confident that Banu Salim are going to take those houses, because definitely they're going to want to be close to their Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And now all of that has been, all of those plans have been changed. And now when Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam is leading the salah in the masjid of Banu Salima, Allah Ta'ala reveals the verse, فَوَلِّ وَجْهَكَ شَطْرَ الْمَسْجِدِ الْحَرَامِ. O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, turn your face towards the direction of Masjid al-Haram, Makkah al-Mukarramah, the Kaaba. So in the masjid of Banu Salima, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam goes from the direction of the Qibla, which was towards Masjid al-Aqsa, and he goes to the opposite side of the masjid, which is the direction of Makkah al-Mukarramah, and all of the congregation behind him, all the Sahaba, they all turn around as well to face Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So the Qibla is also changed in that masjid of Banu Salima, which then becomes called, or then becomes named Masjid Qiblatayn, the masjid of two qiblas. So the masjid of Banu Salima is then renamed or known as Masjidul Qiblatayn, the masjid of two qiblas. So now this sign that they were waiting for, that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam still has not displayed this sign, the prophet of two qiblas, that also takes place. So they had a huge amount of resentment, anger towards Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, obviously, they tried many different ways to harm Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Knew that these people are enemies. And the Sahaba Ridwanullahi alayhim ajma'in knew that these people are enemies. And I think next week what we'll do is, inshallah, mention the reason why these two surahs were revealed. A lot of it was the enmity of the Jews, and then what happened because of the enmity of the Jews. Inshallah, we'll talk about it next week. They knew for sure he was a prophet. Just jealousy, resentment. Why is he not from our family? Many Jewish scholars did, but a large portion of them did not. They just said, no, we're not going to. Jewish scholars now, Allahu A'lam, their Torah has been changed, chopped and changed so much. Only Allah knows what the Torah, nowadays Torah says.